to the Speedy Speed Boys regular drift phenomenon. Tonight, we've got Viv and baby Jason in their newly recovered Deathmobile jet ski versus our babyface, Jimmy Wynn. Slowly taking his time. His car hasn't even started. Oh, the decals have started. The flames on Jimmy's car have erupted. He's turned around the corner, trying to get right in between the giant monster truck wheels of Viv and baby Jason. But they're not going to be so quickly stopped. Baby Jason has pulled out a Technicolor net, and it's shooting out. Oh, bad luck, baby Jason. It has spat out glue, which is now gumped into the back of his engine, slowing down him and Viv's vehicle.
Ellie's booing. I just didn't want to interrupt your narration.
Ness is actually starstruck. He's not making any sounds. He's so fucking happy right now.
Which will say to Elee, are you cheering for Jimmy currently?
No, there's this thing, it's called booing. It's like the opposite of cheering. It's when you want them to lose.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought it was the other way. Okay. Misha will look a little bit guilty for a second there, like, and then start booing too.
Ellie looks vaguely concerned.
Misha puts back the tomato they were going to throw at Viv and baby Jason in support. Yeah, so you are all on the bleachers. You're in a racetrack. This one is a more standard racetrack, if you can call it standard. It's a series of loops and turns. There is at least one Sonic the Hedgehog style loop-de-loop. And just like how the racetrack is very haphazard and, shall we say, creatively designed, so is the furniture. You are all sitting on bleachers that look like if I, from carpentry, designed it. And for reference, when I did carpentry once, I designed something to hold a GameCube in my GameCube games, but I had the pole you hold on to go directly above the slots you put everything in.
Oh no!
So you couldn't fit anything inside of it. It is that kind of thoughtful design to these bleachers. But all of you are sitting there, Elee, Misha, Ness. Which one of you is holding the Crayola candy, which is what we call cotton candy in this universe?
Ness.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Ness is like double fisting snacks somehow, while also like leaning over the railing. He's just so into this race. His little light bulb eyes are even bigger with the sheer force of excitement and apparently sugar, because you suggested the Crayola candy, and I was gonna say he was eating like Blizzlers, which are Twizzlers but cold.
Is he still wearing his ascot?
Oh yeah, it's tied like a conventional ascot.
Yeah,
right now.
Ellie's got a hold of the back of his ascot as he leans out really far.
Ness does not notice. Ness will quietly be chanting to himself, regionals, 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 while he's double fisting candy, barely managing to hang onto the railing only because Elee is yanking him back by ascot.
And as he does that, Fungi, who is also just there with you, leans over. So, what do you think of our baby faces racing?
Well, I think that for someone that likes to point out people doing crimes, he is not a very fair race player because he truly seems to be doing a lot of bad things to the other competitors instead of just driving.
Oh, you must be talking about the mystery boxes. No, they just add a bit of flair to our races.
But I feel like that's slightly unfair, and I also didn't see baby Jason using them as often as Jimmy Wynn does, which I think gives him an unfair advantage in this race.
Tell it like it is, Misha.
Thank you. I am doing so.
And Jimmy has let off another death laser at Viv and baby Jason. Oof, that's gotta sting.
This is what I'm talking about.
Oh, well, you know, sometimes you just get lucky. And Jimmy gets lucky a lot.
Elee, I'm trying to figure out how to describe the expression on her face, and I feel like it goes through several. One is like contemplation, and then glare, and then just skepticism at the idea that it's luck.
I do not think luck is the right word.
I suppose you could also call it a blessing, a break, a godsend, karma, kimset, prosperity.
Close-minded cheater.
I think that is the
serendipity.
word you were looking for.
Well, regardless, the whims of random chance are part of what making being a speedy speed boy so exciting. Oh, I see you want to participate as well. And he points towards your butterfly net, Elee.
When did I get that again?
I don't remember. I think you bought it.
No, I don't think I bought it.
Hallie?
It was when we went to the store and we all rolled the thing for the random cipher, and Ellie's was just a normal butterfly net.
There we go. Yeah, maybe normal butterfly net.
Maybe normal butterfly net. You made a joke that it was a normal butterfly net, and then I maybe made an Animal Crossing joke, which is why I remember it, because if I didn't speak it, I definitely thought it.
Yeah. I got it at a store, but I don't remember why I bought it. It might have been free. I don't know.
Oh, see? Lucky break. We use these nets to trap the iron wind and make our mystery boxes. Here, I'll trade that for one of mine.
I'm sorry. You do what with the iron wind?
And he picks out a Technicolor box, which look just like the ones that were shot at you and just like the boxes that were used on the racetrack. They're netting, which are holding Technicolor light inside of them.
Ness gets yanked back a tiny bit because she's still got his ascot, making sure he doesn't, fall. But she, jolts away from the box a little bit.
Okay,
I know what that stuff could do.
you get a GM intrusion.
Oh, no.
Who do you want to give the other point to?
I can't drop Ness, Kyle. I can't drop Ness. That's not allowed. That's not a GM intrusion that's allowed. I'll give my other point to Misha, my partner in throwing shade at Jimmy.
So, here's the thing. As you pull Ness back, he actually had already pulled out his mystery box to give to you to trade. And was extending it out at you, but you didn't see. So you pull Ness back into the mystery box.
No!
And you just hear a
Oh, what?
oops as it flies into the air, lands into the crowd, and all of the loose things, so anything not attached to somebody, all of the loose coins,
Oh, no.
wallets, keys, and yes, Ness, all congeal into a ball around where this little thing erupts.
Oh, no.
As if there was just a little tiny, super powerful magnet there. And in fact, even Misha, you get yanked back a little bit
Oh, no.
as your scarf gets pulled towards it.
Oh, no.
It pulls itself off, shakes its head, and wraps itself around Ness to pull him out as well.
Ness is confused. He was watching a race and then he wasn't watching a race, and he's trying to get out of whatever new situation he's in without dropping his food. So he's just kicking his little legs what, where, no, because he wants to watch the race.
And then Ness, I need you to roll me a d6.
A d6?
Yeah.
Okay. 4.
All right, so as you get out, Ness, attached to you is just an earbud that whispers encouraging words, making one task of your choice one step easier.
All right.
It is a cipher that got attached to you.
I'll take it. It's an earbud. I'm going to put that on Hop's character sheet because it's the only one I have. When he surfaces somehow also holding an earbud in addition to all the things he was holding before. He's like, oh, cool. And then he turns around and sees there's been a conversation happening while he was watching the race and goes, oh, hello. And then turns back around and continues watching the race.
Meanwhile, Misha, you look back as the scarf pulled itself out and you see this pile there. And inside of it, you see, the little flags they use for racing, like the checkered flag, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You see a little black disqualification flag.
Oh, that's so cute.
And for a second, you remember something. You remember being in this vehicle, this large frog-like vehicle, and skidding to a stop. And immediately, this young astronaut starts yelling at somebody. What was that all about, Mr. Wynn? That was clearly not a disqualification. Misha was driving perfectly fine. And this man responds, I understand that, Ein, and Misha definitely put their best effort into that. We've sometimes got to slow down a bit. Do you understand? Well, that's not what Mr. Collodi said. Then maybe we need to talk to Cygnus. And Misha, you flash back for a second from that memory, and you see the scarf is just sitting there holding one of the flags and is just happily waving it in front of you.
So am I back? Like when you say flashback, do you mean flash forward?
Flash forward, back to the forward. You saw the black flag, had a memory, and now your scarf is just happily waving it.
So if there was another flag at seeing that, Misha's gonna do that, or even if there's not a flag, but it's gonna do that anime thing of like clenching their fist, and then they're going to look at Elee and say, well, I think I will ensure to go really fast tomorrow. Because then they will get disqualified.
Oh no! All right, we're going to flash forward a bit into the future. You're now in between the racetrack and where the workshop is, the Speedy Speedboy workshop. It's right next door. You're standing in a crowd of people, just a crowd of coveralls. People who are really excited to see and congratulate the racers. You hear some like random people just like talk about how excited they are. Like, oh man, Jimmy drives alone without a navigator. How cool is that? Oh yeah, he can totally do anything by himself. That's our baby face. We see our little pocket of family, almost like, you know, people waiting at the side of a parade. We've got Ness, I'm just guessing on like Ellie's shoulders.
Ness has clambered himself up so that he can see.
Elee is not the person to climb up on if you want to see things.
That's true. However, she was easily accessible for Ness at first. He's gonna jump from Elee to Misha because Misha's taller.
Misha's scarf has now picked up a second flag. So just along to, you know, the chanting, we have this little scarf that's just waving two flags and beat with everybody.
And Ness doesn't know what else to yell, so he's just going, Regionals! From on top of Misha, joining in with the cacophony of other cheers.
So there is so much cheering going on. You know that thing when you're going down, like you have a picture on Splash Mountain and everyone's super excited and there's that one person who's just there with their arms crossed?
Yeah. That's basically how Misha is. Like, they're glad that their scarf is happy, but they also are a bit confused that even their scarf is like, woo! While Misha's just like,
I feel like Elee and Misha have, like, exchanged some looks.
Definitely.
Just like,
Definitely.
Exchanged looks, but not thoughts. Because, Misha, you're still thinking back to that memory when you saw the flag. And let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Misha's head.
Yeah. I feel like Misha, they're already in this whole situation where they have to deal with all of these things and they don't necessarily want to discuss it with people as much. And like, since they've been getting more memories, they kind of have, like, I feel like it's not as out of nowhere now because they have just been recovering things anyway. So they're definitely very distressed about it. And it's part of why they kind of have been salty and just not really happy to where they are, because they feel like, in addition to the prodigious, I think that this place is kind of a little bit the thing that's accelerating the memories coming back.
Absolutely. They're definitely happening faster. And sure, sometimes things trigger it like the flag, but sometimes they just are there. These memories are almost like destination markers as you're getting closer to a location, or billboards on the side of a highway. Because every time you get a new memory, you feel like you as a person are being driven somewhere, and you don't know where that is. And you wouldn't be able to share your thoughts with anybody even if you wanted to, because nothing can be heard over this giant yell of like, Jimmy! As just, you just hear Jimmy's car like drive in, I shouldn't say drive into the crowd, drive in front of the crowd as Jimmy gets up and is like, Speedy Speed Boys! And they're like, yeah! And they're like, say it! And he's like, all right, I need the other contestant to get up here. And baby Jason, who's just real like nervous and starstruck, gets up. And they both make an L, and it's like, alone we're losers, but together we're winners. They're doing that thing that you know how everyone like at like Little League, you all have to like shake everyone else's hand.
Yeah.
This is what they do at the end of races. They do the alone we're losers, together we're winners thing with whoever they raced against. And I'm actually gonna say, because Viv is there too, he does it cross-armed.
Aww.
So he does one with Viv and one with baby Jason.
That's
cute.
really heartwarming.
That's right, Speedy Speed boys. Who enjoyed today's race?
Me!
Oh no.
And what's your name, little bud?
I'm Ness!
Ness, get on up here!
Oh! And then he clambers his way.
We will try to stop Ness, but it's too late.
You can't. You absolutely cannot. And then he's like moving his way through the crowd. So the camera doesn't show him. You just hear a lot of like, excuse me, yeah, move. I'm trying to go fast. You are hindering my ability to go fast. Like, how? Because he's just stepping over people's feet.
And the crowd kind of parts to make way for this little robot walking towards. You can see Jimmy standing on top of his decked out Guy Fieri race car.
Yes.
And as you make your way there and you get your way to his feet, because you can't really see that high, right?
Right.
You make your way to Jimmy's feet, and they're motionless. And it's only then, Ness, that you notice the crowd has gotten silent. Because as the crowd parted, Jimmy was able to see clearly a line between himself and... God. Well there, Misha Jarvis.
Damn it.
Sorry, Misha.
What did you think of today's race?
Well, apparently what I think doesn't matter to you anyways, so why do you ask me?
You're right, I suppose the words of a murderer don't really matter now, do they? And Ness, how is Ness responding? I know Ellie's probably upset, but I want to know specifically how Ness is responding.
Here's the thing. Ness is just really excited and really likes racing. Like, he was present for the whole, like, Misha, you're a murderer. I'm gonna race you. And he's not oblivious to the situation. And he does care. So he, out of respect for Misha, is actually just looking at Jimmy's car and not at Jimmy himself.
Aww.
He went up to the car and he's admiring it because it's got flames and it's cool and he loves it. In addition, he would like to find any random scrap of paper that he can. And he does want to get Jimmy's signature, but he's going to get it after everything.
Okay. Hallie, I'm going to send you a suggestion.
Oh boy.
I'm going to put it in our personal chat.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay, I made a suggestion to Hallie, which we have agreed will happen.
Okay.
So Jimmy, however, does not seem like he's in the mood for any signatures. Except for the signature of guilt that we will get. And by signature, I mean, failure of the
All
race. Right. Upon hearing your voice, Jimmy's like, and who said, oh, hello, ma'am.
Ellie is going to stride up as fast as she can on her little legs.
Jimmy backs up.
Ellie is gonna grab a hold of one of his ears and stomp off to somewhere. If she could see an empty area where there's not a lot of people, stomp off, pulling along Jimmy.
And the crowd will just part as Ellie leaves.
Misha will actually follow, trying to stop Elee.
You want to follow Ellie and Jimmy?
Yeah.
There is a wide, empty circle around you where all the Speedy Speed Boys have stepped to the side, repelled by you as you try to make your way through. You feel so many eyes on you.
I'm sorry I left you, Misha.
And yet you've never been more alone. All right, Ellie, what are your plans with Jimmy? You know how, people always hang out under the bleachers at, high school football games? You're underneath the bleachers yelling at Jimmy. So you got Jimmy underneath the bleachers at the racetrack.
She's gonna let go of Jimmy's ear, take a step back, and cross her arms. We're gonna have a little talk about your behavior.
Jimmy is not giving eye... You know when a kid gets in trouble and they don't give eye contact? Yeah, he's not giving eye contact.
I didn't think this far ahead. Ellie doesn't say that. Ellie knows what she's doing. What's your problem? You think Misha's a murderer? Yes?
Like a little kid who's been in trouble but doesn't think he's done any wrong. Jimmy just ekes out, more like, no, they're a murderer.
You know they're a murderer? Okay. So, did you witness this?
No, I wasn't born yet.
Okay. Who told you Misha did a murder?
Everyone.
Everyone?
Everyone! I said everyone knows that Misha's a murderer. They ruined the reputation of my poor grandpa. Everybody saw it that day, the day that car crashed.
A car crashed. But Misha's... wait. Did Misha kill someone, or did someone crash a car?
You got all the evidence right there. We in the Speedy Speed Boys are used to crashes. It takes a particularly high amount of effort to do the kind that would kill somebody. Yet they did it. Misha Jarvis crashed that car, and yet they didn't get a scratch in the other person. Well, that poor fella passed away in seconds.
Jimmy, that sounds like an accident. That sounds like Misha walked away from something and someone else didn't. You're not gonna listen to logic. I can see it in your eyes as you try to avoid looking at me. But you need to do some introspection. And you need to think about whether the way you're acting and the way you are treating Misha Jarvis is doing anything for you or your grandpa or your reputation.
For a second, he's like motioning and like getting real like upset, and then he just gets still and sullen when you talk about his grandpa's reputation. Introspection, huh? I don't even know what that word means, and he storms off.
I thought Jimmy would respected his elders.
Grandpa.
Yeah, and he's off. But just as he does, Misha, that's when you actually catch up with Elee.
Elee B, please stop. You don't have to do this.
Oh, don't worry. I didn't beat him up or anything. I'm really sorry I left you in the crowd, though. I just I lost my temper, and I've been trying not to do that, but sometimes it just happens. But I think this was really a success because no one got punched or murdered.
That's a word.
Sorry. I didn't think I'm...
No, it's okay. My apologies. I didn't mean it to come that way.
No, I really should have thought about my word usage. Look, let's figure out what we're gonna do about this mess. Also, speaking of mess, where's Ness?
Oh,
We lost Ness!
Hello and welcome to the announcement break for Quest Friends episode 65, One Neon Night, part 7. I'm Kyle, your GM, and our intro and outro song, as always, are Friends in Atoshio, both by Miracle of Sound. Quest Friends is now 3 years old. A week and a half ago, on Friday, September 25th, we rung in our 3rd anniversary with a Q&A live stream at twitch.tv/questfriends. Thank you so much for everyone who came out for the stream, submitted questions, and also thank you to our friends at Pontifex, Catching Up David, and the Cookie Crew for joining us for some Among Us action after the Q&A was done. If you missed that Q&A, you can find a podcast version of it in your feed, or if you go onto our YouTube channel, which you can find linked below, you can also watch an actual visual version of the stream, which there's some good faces in there. I would recommend watching it. During that stream, we announced our Patreon perk for this year. So last year, in order to celebrate our anniversary and really remind people that we have a Patreon, we had these Shock and Misha stickers that we were giving out to every single Patreon subscriber. We're doing the same thing this year, but with Hopper Scotch's new hat in enamel pin form. These are really cool pins. I love mine. And if you're curious to see what that pin looks like and see kind of the things you can get if you join our Patreon, you can find a link to our Patreon below, which has an image to that pin as well as a link to as many samples of our Patreon posts as each level as we could provide. So not only do you get to see this cool new pin, but you get some free extra content on top of it. That hat giveaway is happening through the end of October 31st, so anyone who is subscribed to us on October 31st, 2020 on our Patreon, we'll get one of those Hopperscotch enamel pins. And these pins won't be available for a long, long time. They'll probably only be available at cons, and who knows when we're going to be able to go to one of those again. So if you're interested at all, I would check that Patreon link below. Right next to our YouTube page and that Patreon link, you can also find our Tumblr, where we are answering any of the Q&A questions we weren't able to answer during the stream. And there's a lot of really cool and in-depth stuff there. So our Tumblr, our Patreon, our YouTube page, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can check out, and I'd encourage you to check out at least one of them. Finally, just a reminder that last week we started putting links to important NPC docs below, so if you need help remembering who any of the NPCs, locations, important nouns are, we have a link to a document below which you can check out. All right, that's all I've got for you today. Our next episode, One Neon Night Part 8, will be releasing on Monday, October 19th. But if you'd like additional content before then, you can find additional stories, artwork, and behind-the-scenes insights at patreon.com/questfriends. I'll see you there. So Ness, where are you?
In the trunk of Jimmy's car is where Ness is at. He's stowed away there.
And Jimmy's car is currently not in the crowd.
No, it's moving, and that kind of surprised Ness. He didn't expect it to move so fast. He was partly looking for, like, a scrap of paper that would suit his needs. It has to be legal size because of reasons. And he also just, like, wanted to see the inside of the car. And the trunk was open. Who leaves their trunk open? Like, if you don't want small robots climbing into your trunk, you don't leave your trunk open. Them's the rules. And Jimmy broke it. So now Ness is in that trunk, and he did kind of intend to see where Jimmy was going. He didn't think this one through entirely.
Yeah, you hear nothing over the of the, like, engine. And eventually they putter to a stop, and you hear a click as the engine finally stops.
I assume that I can open the trunk from the inside.
You know what? Yeah, Jimmy doesn't lock his shit. You can open it up.
I was gonna say, I was about to argue too, like, just so we're clear, Ness also wouldn't have closed it all the way, so he would have left it a little bit, so his little eyes were, like, looking out the road while he was driving. He was enjoying the scenery, enjoying going fast. He's gonna pop out of the trunk as Jimmy's going in.
Well, Jimmy's not going anywhere.
Oh.
As you open up, you hear a few things. You can hear the sound effects of the bog den of forest, just a bloop, 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 bloop. In the distance, you can hear a whack of a shovel. But you also hear some quiet sobbing.
Oh, I made him cry.
Just hear some quiet, like, pop.
Oh.
This wasn't expected, so he, somewhat more cautiously than he would have, peeks around the corner to confirm that this is Jimmy Wynn crying softly to himself.
Jimmy Wynn is sitting on the hood of his car. You can see him illuminated by the headlights, and he's just kind of sitting there. He's staring out at the bog and just crying to himself and being like, Papa, I'm sorry, I don't know what to think anymore. Is this introspection?
To which Ness will actually respond with, yeah, I think that's what this is.
Jimmy jumps with a start, and then he eventually sees you and says, oh, hey there, little buddy.
Hey, big fan, my name's Ness. We were kind of about to meet, but then we didn't, because you got all weird about my friend Misha.
Oh, Jimmy's real. Why don't you take a seat here with Jimmy?
Ness clambers up and sits down next to Jimmy on the hood of the car with, like, his little legs splayed out.
This is adorable.
And he's got his little paper, and he's like, I was gonna have you sign this, because I think you're really neat, and I really like cars, and I really like things that go fast, and I don't know if you're aware, but I'm actually a speedy speed boy as of yesterday.
By yesterday, he means, like, 2 hours ago.
I was trying to do the math, and then decided it was yesterday.
It's called One Neon Night, Hallie. That's the name of the art.
You're right! That's written on my heist board. How many times have I written that down when I put one question mark?
One?
Okay. Zenith was like, I'm a speedy speed boy now. Been one for a long time. And I think it'd be really cool to have your autograph, because, like, this whole larger-than-life, I win all the time thing, love it. Really impressed by it. Sounds like you've impressed a lot of folks with it, too. But, as far as my friends go, I think I'm in the minority here.
So Jimmy will say his next line between sobs, and having taken your piece of paper, taken like a fluff of Crayola candy that was on your cheek, and is using that to sign a signature as he says the next part. Hey, little bud, you ever feel like your life was a disappointment to someone important to you?
Ness thinks about that. The only person I was really around to disappoint was myself, and honestly, I'm pretty rad. Like, I'm very cool. There's no way that's gonna happen. But, recently, and then he'll stand up. You're so cool, so I can't imagine that you're disappointing anybody, you know? But, like, I kinda get that when you're around people who seem to, like you fine, and, like, for some reason spend time with you, the fear of disappointing them becomes a lot. So, like, for instance, this one time, I went away alone, and, like, it wasn't a good choice. I make those very rarely. Bad choices, I mean. Like, this was a rare time where I didn't make a good choice. But, I kind of just did that again, and I'm gonna have to apologize to everybody later, because I just really wanted to meet you, and, what I'm saying is I think so.
Jimmy nods. It's unclear if he actually understood any of that, but he's nodding like he did.
I lost. Ness doesn't know what he meant by that, so that's perfectly fine.
If Ness doesn't know, then Jimmy absolutely knows, and he says, I guess you got a point there, little bud, and he lifts up his L for the Alone We're Losers, and he just looks at it. He says, after all, alone we're losers, but... And he drifts off as he looks at the L on his hand, and his hand just drops.
How come you drive alone?
Well, gotta give myself some sort of challenge.
So you win, like, all the time, and that's great, because winning is the most important thing in the universe. But, couldn't L stand for lonely? And then Ness does the little L sign for him, and then says, I think that maybe, and then he does the cross and goes, we could figure it out together.
Aww. Just being friends.
Well, all thanks there, little bud, but... And he looks out. I think this is something Jimmy needs to figure out for himself.
Ness! Where did you go?
Ness, come back here. I'm really stressed.
So Elee and Misha, you are walking through the woods somewhere. You lost trail of Jimmy's car like a long time ago. But you're walking through the woods, desperately trying to find Ness. It is so dark, you can't see in front of your own faces unless you have some sort of illuminating source. And even then, you can maybe see the other person's light. Maybe.
Well, she has 3 candles, so...
Oh, did you give one to Misha too?
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to light it herself.
Perfect. So are you two walking together or like a few feet apart?
I feel like for efficiency, they might be walking slightly apart. Like not like completely, but like just, one looking on one side and one on the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 10 feet apart. You're together, but also alone. Misha, your scarf has grabbed the candle and is holding it up.
Oh, yeah. Just waving it.
That's so cute.
And it's been 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15. It's been a while. It's been about the length of, let's say about 2 episodes. If we had Shock and Hop going through 2 episodes, we'll say maybe it's 2 out of 3 episodes worth of time, theoretically.
Roughly.
Just wandering through the woods. Like, who knew that Elee and Misha had the true dungeon delve?
So, yeah, how are we feeling after, like, a few hours out here?
Elee is still just a ball of stress. None of her stress has faded. She's just, like, been hunching and turtling more and more.
Yeah.
Elee might have actually asked Misha to tell her insect facts and just random things because she's really stressed and she's trying not to think about what if, like, Ness is lost forever because she lost her temper and dragged away Jimmy. And Misha doesn't have to tell her insect facts. Misha doesn't have to say anything, but she's probably, like, mentioned that.
The thing is, I feel like Misha would start doing that, telling about different insect facts, but then as they excitedly talk about different insects, they're going to talk about beetle facts, and then they're just going to go all quiet about it.
Oh no! Oh no! I'm so sorry.
And then, as happens when those facts inevitably come up again, you start walking in silence.
At some point, Elee can't turtle anymore. It is physically impossible for her to turtle anymore. She's got, like, all her muscles are tense. She's all kind of scrunched up.
Aww.
She's, like, picking at her fingernails. The bug facts were not a good idea. That's on her. It's fine. And she's gonna finally start, like, just as quietly as possible, just, like, coming to herself without even really processing that she's doing it.
Misha also, without realizing, will follow the same humming song.
Elee she'll keep doing it for a little bit and it won't really register. And then she'll just stop and look over to the little, like, tiny flicker that she can see of the candle flame that Misha's scarf is holding. Misha? Did I ever hum that to you? Did I ever?
Sorry, were you speaking to me, Elee?
Yeah, I was just wondering if I taught you that song.
What? Oh, no, I apologize. You didn't. Do you hear that song too?
I heard it a long time ago. My, Carl wrote it for me.
Oh, Carl is he's the one that, and Misha will look at the candle that the scarf is holding and then back at Elee.
Yeah, he's...
Oh, I apologize. I didn't mean to. I have heard this song for a while now. It's just always in my mind, sort of. I don't know where it came from. I don't know exactly where it is coming from, really. It's always there. I think it's a really nice melody, but I do not understand why I know it. It's very pretty.
Yeah, I think so too. I was just surprised.
Yeah, I cannot say that I am not surprised either about this.
I guess you wouldn't remember if you met him. He was, to people who haven't lost their memories, he was someone you wouldn't forget.
I will say that I do not remember clearly if I do, but if you like, you could tell me about him so that I begin remembering him now through you. I believe that somebody who would know and teach a song this pretty must have been a really good man himself.
He was. Every single thing he touched danced, and he could play any instrument. Not all of them he was good at, but he could just, like, pick something up and play it immediately. It's kind of like your kazoo, you know?
Well, I really hope I did met him, even though I can't remember him, because he sounds like a really good influence and a really good person. That would have been somebody that I would wish to have in my past.
I think you actually would have really liked each other.
And you didn't even notice as you were talking, but you've walked yourselves into a clearing. you see lights in front of you.
Jimmy.
Is Ness on the cart?
And you say that, and Jimmy turns, and his soft face turns into like a scowl as he sees you. But next to him, Ness turns, and he sees you as well. And Ness just says,
Oh, hey! Ness is gonna apologize to Elee and Misha. There doesn't need to be a scene. I just want to specify that it happens in case it fell into the hangout category. He's gonna be like, sorry, scuff his little foot.
And then Elee just without saying anything picks him up and hugs him.
"Oh,
She's so relieved.
God.
Misha will join the hug.
Ness doesn't react at first, but then he will hug back and he'll lean into it. He likes it.
Jimmy will also
he
be
likes
there.
hugs.
If Jimmy tries to approach, Misha will glare at him.
Also, I'm not going to include this in, but because Jimmy is still a good boy, he does in fact offer you a ride back.
Ness will vouch for him.
Elee has a wonderful life now with lots of children and a steady girlfriend, and she's murdered a lot of people. Your life can still get better after you find out you're a murderer.
You just had a car crash.
It's true.
Yeah, she flat out straight up stabbed people.
It's true.